Hello, my name is Roger Ballard. I'm CEO for Nuvision Credit Union, and I want to welcome you all to today's Nuvision Insights webinar. We do these webinars. Some are focused on general topics, others on like our Beacon Economics series, but we do them for our members roughly quarterly. And we feel it's an important opportunity to provide our members with direct access to credit union leadership as part of presenting these webinars and being available to answer questions. As well as through these webinars, we can share updates about how the credit union's doing and kind of some of the upcoming plans and provide valuable information and tools that you need to reach your financial goals. Now, different webinars typically have different focus topics, and we'll talk more, in today's webinar about fraud and how to fraud-proof your finances and really provide information to help you protect yourself and your loved ones, your money. So today we'll be focused on diving into the latest fraud trends that are impacting consumers and important strategies and tools necessary to keep your money and yourself safe, sound, and secure. So for today's webinar, we're going to be covering a few topics. Got a full agenda, but we're going to focus mostly on the fraud topic. So I'm going to give just a brief update on what's new at Nuvision, your credit union, as well as some updates about what's upcoming in terms of credit union plans. And then we've got a great speaker, Amy, who's going to provide some information about fraud prevention and awareness, and what Nuvision is continuing to do with the help of another speaker, Michael, continue to enhance member security. So I think, and I really hope that you find this webinar and the information that we share really helpful. During the webinar, now all the lines, if you will, all the audio is muted except for the speakers, but we will have an opportunity at the end of the session to answer your questions. And some of you are, likely more familiar with the Zoom platform than others. So I just want to briefly call out, there's this Q&A icon that's checking the bottom of my screen, toward the bottom of the screen, and you can click on that during the webinar and type in your questions as we go, or at the end, whatever, any time. The one thing we would ask, though, because we want to keep your personal information safe, please don't include any account or other personally identifiable information as part of the question. We'd rather, if you need to address something where we need that information, we'd rather address that separately and privately. But we really encourage you to ask questions. We've got some great resources as part of this webinar who are likely to be able to at least shed some light on your questions. So and we will also, there's a chance, depending on the number of questions that we get, that we're unable to answer all of them within the time that we have allocated. And if that's the case, if we don't get to all the questions, we'll do our best to follow up and answer your questions via email after this particular webinar is complete. So I look forward to taking your questions. So first of all, I want to say a little bit about what's going on at Nuvision, what's new at Nuvision. So we have, in the last roughly year, like 12 months roughly or so, we have completed 3 different merger partnerships. One with Cooperative Center Federal Credit Union based up in the Bay Area, Paradise Valley Credit Union based in San Diego area, and also Safe America Credit Union, the largest of our 3 partners, based also in the Bay Area. So certainly we want to welcome all of our new members to Nuvision Credit Union, and we're excited to continue to serve you. And for any of our members, we'll give an overview shortly, but we've also, because of these merger partnership, we also have a new opportunity to provide even more convenient locations for any of our members in that area who happen to visit that area. So looking forward to that. So I'll say a little bit more about where our branch is located in a moment. But certainly want to welcome our new members, and we also have many new team members that have joined us as a result of these partnerships, and we're always so excited to have this new talent, so many of them so talented and who already know the members who are coming over to Nuvision. Some other things that are coming up in terms of branch openings. Up in Alaska, we have a branch, Abbott. It used to be an in-store, in a grocery store branch, and we just didn't have enough space to serve the growing needs of our membership. So we moved it out to a freestanding building with much more room, but we had to wait for the summer to be able to build the drive up capabilities. So we are, I saw it last week, as a matter of fact, we are in the process right now at the Abbott's in Anchorage, Alaska, the Abbott branch, building up that drive-through service, and look forward to opening that, in the next few months here. And then we also have another branch that's under construction in Arizona, in Mesa, Arizona. It'll be our first, what we call public access, larger branch in Mesa, Arizona. We've been on site with another branch at the Boeing facility for somewhere around 30 years. So this will complement that branch. We have many members there who have done business with us for many years, and we have a lot of members who spend time in Arizona, particularly during the winter time, that we've learned. So we think it's going to be a great additional convenience for our members. Furthermore, 2025 is Nuvision Credit Union's 90th anniversary. So it's an exciting milestone for us, and we're just so thankful to our member owners who've supported us for these 90 years. And we're going to do some celebrating as part of that, which includes our Added Advantage summer cash giveaway. It's launched just this week. And it's an opportunity to just thank our members, and an opportunity to win some cash. So we're going to be giving away $23,000 in cash prizes, and we've already launched some additional information about how you can participate. So, and furthermore, another opportunity to celebrate and say thanks to our members as part of our 90th anniversary celebration is we have some 90th anniversary certificate specials that we've launched. So looking forward to sharing more about that. Just a quick snapshot about how we're doing, financially. One of the things I'd say, and I've got the numbers to back it up here, is Nuvision continues to be safe and strong. We've continued to have positive earnings, earning over $5 million in just the first 3 months of the year. We have our total loan balances are over $3 billion, deposits a little over $3.2 billion. And up from the last year at around the same time. And then assets have grown. We're now about $3.9 billion in total assets. And a very important number that we look at is what we call our net worth ratio as a percentage. And we stand at over 11%, which is very strong. Our regulator considers 7% well capitalized, strong, and we're at over 11. So that's something we're very proud of. And we can only do that because of the outstanding support of our members. So it's just some more proof points, if you will, about your credit unions doing well because of your support, and we continue to be safe and sound. I mentioned earlier I was going to give you a little bit update because as we've grown, we have continued to enhance our branch network, the number of branches and locations where they are available to our members. So I wanted to give you just a quick overview of where we stand today. And in Alaska, we have 10 different offices. Arizona, we have one branch, and that doesn't count the new one that's coming later this summer. So that'll go to 2 later this year. And in the California branches, I alluded to with our merger partners, we've got in the Bay Area, we now have 7 branches in the Bay Area, and in Southern California, and this includes those 2 new offices in the San Diego area, we've got 13 offices. In Washington State, we have 1 branch in Kent, Washington. In Wyoming, we have 3 branches, 2 in Cheyenne and 1 in Casper. So that is Nuvision's branches as of today, and we're always looking, where we can add additional conveniences where it makes sense. Next slide, please. So today, our primary presenters are Amy Marshalik and Michael Hayden. Amy's had done the heavy lift, if you will, because she's got so much expertise to share. I'm so pleased that Amy and Michael could be with us today. When we're always looking at what would be valuable topics to cover for our members, and we always take feedback. I'll talk to you about a survey at the end of this webinar, but fraud prevention certainly comes up. We see the trends, and we really want to educate our members so they can continue to protect themselves, because it's really critical, especially in this landscape where members want digital convenience, which is wonderful, and we really work hard to provide not only branch convenience but also outstanding digital convenience, so you can do what you want when you want over your phone. In many cases, some of our members really demand that. Some would never touch it, and then some are it depends on what they're doing. But with that digital convenience, particularly, does come some fraud risks that what I call the bad actors are trying to take advantage of our members and even the credit union at times. So we really want to partner with you to continue to work to educate you and to give you tips about how you can protect yourself and your money, because it not only protects individuals but also strengthens the trust we have within our communities. So we think that's an important role for us, and we're trying to fulfill that in part with this webinar and sharing the information. By raising awareness about various fraud tactics, Amy's going to be giving some examples of some of the current trends that we see. We can empower our members to safeguard their personal information and finances. And today's presentation sets the stage for understanding the importance of vigilance and proactive measures against the fraudsters. So Amy Marsalek, again, it's a real treat. She is our operations risk management manager. She's very knowledgeable and great speaker, and she's one of our experts on fraud and especially fraud prevention. Today, she'll be providing those critical insights in the latest trends in fraud that are affecting consumers, including our members, and the steps that you can take to ensure you and your money are safe. So it's with great pleasure that I introduce Amy. Good afternoon, or depending on where our members are, good evening, Amy.
Hi, thank you, Roger, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today and share critical information about fraud scams. As you mentioned, I think arming our members with information is the best way to protect them and to protect their assets. And it's one of my most unfavorite topics. So I'm really looking forward to going through and hopefully sharing some information that everyone can take away and apply as they go forward. So next slide, please. So we're going to talk a little bit about current trends that we're seeing, what we're seeing for 2025 that's been kind of the big fraud trends. And we'll go over a little bit about some of the statistics, what we saw from 2024 and the expected exponential growth. And most importantly, some practical tips to help you recognize and avoid these scams. Next slide, please. So here are some quick statistics, and they are alarming. The FTC, or the Fair Trade Commission, reports that over 12.5 billion in fraud losses happened in 2024. That's a 25% increase from the previous year, and it really underscores the urgency of this discussion today. Additionally, the FBI findings show 33% rise in internet crime losses. And so that's somewhere we're going to focus pretty heavily is through more of the internet and electronic scams. But these figures serve as a wake-up call for all of us that we need to really take fraud prevention seriously. Next slide, please. All right, so the top threats in 2025, and as we look forward to or look ahead in 2025, we just really need to look at what we're seeing emerging as the top threats. And the first of that, of course, is the imposter scam or spoofed calls and emails. That is particularly a particularly significant threat. In fact, financial institutions throughout the United States are reporting that this scam is being highly impactful this year. The first thing to have in mind is that just because a call or an email appears to be from a trusted source, such as a technology company, a large retail business, your financial institution, or even a loved one, it doesn't mean that this is a valid contact. In fact, I recently received an email from Amazon, and there was nothing obviously wrong to the naked eye, but it indicated that my payment method had failed and that I needed to click here to update. Although nothing looked wrong, I closed the email and logged straight on to Amazon and was able to confirm that this was not an email from Amazon. So what does this mean practically? It means that we need to be vigilant before clicking on anything or before speaking with someone that looks like they are calling from a trusted business. You need to ask yourself first, did I expect this call or email? If not, pay close attention to what you're being asked to do. It's crucial to recognize the red flags that indicate a potential scam. For instance, if a caller uses urgent language or requests personal information, these are strong indicators of a scam. Additionally, if the caller becomes hostile or overly helpful, it's also a warning sign. So you need to remember that scammers often impersonate these legitimate organizations. So I would always verify before sharing any information. If you're being asked to click on a link, don't do it. Go straight to the site of the company that sent this to you. If someone on the phone is asking you to do something, share access to your device, download something, transfer money, or provide sensitive data, disconnect the call. Contact that company directly. Just remember that no one, not even your financial institution, should ever ask you to move money to protect it, ask for your PINs, or ask you to provide the 3-digit code on the back of your card. And remember also that here at Nuvision, we will always not only respect but appreciate your decision to verify. So let the caller know that you will be calling them back directly and hang up and make that call. That's always the best course of action, is to call directly if you feel even the slightest doubt about it. All right, next slide, please. So this is called an authorized push payment, or APP scam. And this one ties in really kind of neatly with the imposter calls that we just talked about. Authorized push payment scams are a significant threat where fraudsters manipulate individuals into willingly transferring money. So these scams often rely on social engineering techniques, or the techniques described previously in that imposter scam. And that helps to establish trust, create a sense of urgency. And common tactics include impersonating credit union employees, posing as distressed family members, or even acting as tech support agents. They'll present themselves sometimes even as romantic interests or maybe a contractor. So it's really important here as well to recognize the red flags, unusual requests for money, pressure to act quickly. Familiarizing yourself with common phrases used in these scams can also help in identifying potential threats. For example, they call and say, "There's suspicious activity on your account. We need to have you transfer your funds to a safe account." Or, "Grandma, I'm in jail. Please send me bail money." Or, "There's a virus on your computer. Let me help you remove it. I need remote access to your device and a payment." If you suspect you're being targeted, it's essential to take immediate action to protect your finances and report the incident to the authorities. Next slide, please. Next up is investment scams. So investment scams are getting increasingly sophisticated. They're often using common phrases to lure in victims. Those phrases are usually things like guaranteed high returns and limited time offer. These are red flags that should raise suspicions. A typical example might be a fake crypto wallet investment that promises an unrealistic 10 times return in just 90 days. It's crucial to recognize those warning signs, such as high pressure tactics, poor grammar, or unverifiable testimonials, which often indicate a scam. So before making any investment, it's wise to consult with a financial advisor, such as one that we have here at Nuvision, and that'll help you ensure the legitimacy of the opportunity, because being informed and cautious can really help protect against these fraudulent schemes. Next slide, please. Romance scams and pig butchering. So romance scams, particularly the tactic known as pig butchering, exploits emotional vulnerabilities. Scammers often create fake profiles with mismatched photos and subtle misspellings, which can be traced back to real individuals more often than not. They initiate contact with classic lines that evoke curiosity and flattery, and oftentimes they're preying on feelings of loneliness. Initially, the requests for money are subtle or often disguised as emergencies, or maybe just a request for a gift card. But in many of these cases, they'll then turn into what they call pig butchering. And that's after trust has been formally established. The scam is it can escalate into where they're asking for you to invest in cryptocurrency and move money through cryptocurrency. This method is really favored by scammers due to the anonymity and difficulty in tracing cryptocurrency transactions, and it makes recovery nearly impossible. So a crucial tip for our members is avoid engaging with strangers who profess love too quickly, and utilize tools like reverse image search to verify identities. I can say that I was approached through online by someone that looked suspiciously familiar, and I reverse image searched, and lo and behold, it was an actor. But there on Facebook, he had two friends. So just kind of slow down. It can be flattering and it can make you feel nice for a moment, but slow down and take a look. And maybe even just ask your friends or family what they think. Next slide, please. So check washing and mail theft. Now, check washing and mail theft are significant concerns as well, particularly during tax season and holidays when mailbox theft tends to spike. This crime involves stealing physical checks from the mail and altering them for fraudulent purposes. To mitigate these risks, it's really important to adopt some proactive measures. For instance, it's recommended that you always drop your mail inside the post office rather than using the unsecured blue boxes or mail slots. Additionally, consider just using online bill payment options to reduce the number of physical checks that you send. If you must use a check, there's a particular pen I'll recommend to you that are wash resistant. So it's not perfect, but they are wash resistant and less attractive to the fraudsters. There is one called the Uniball Signo 207 that can really help prevent alterations. You can find that at Office Max and Amazon and lots of retailers will stock it. It's a gel pen. But by following these tips, you can kind of better protect yourself from these types of fraud. Next slide, please. So another check scam. So this scam discusses a concerning trend where scammers are sending fake checks to people and convince them to deposit it and send money back. Often this is when someone is making a purchase through an online marketplace, but you can also get it as a prize. And it also happens a lot with fake online jobs. Many victims are caught off guard when the checks later bounce, and that leads to financial loss and potential legal repercussions. So it's really critical for people to be aware of this tactic so that they can avoid becoming victims of it. Just always be certain of who you're dealing with. Don't send money to someone that you don't know, and don't deposit checks that you didn't expect for a legitimate reason. And one thing I would always caution you to do is if you do get a check and you're thinking, well, maybe this is a legitimate check, bring it in to one of our branches. One of our professional tellers will be happy to look at it for you and will let you know if it doesn't quite look right to them. So with all scams, again, pay attention. They want you to act urgently. And acting urgently is often indicative of a scam, that pressure. Next slide, please. And that one ties in neatly with job scams and money mules. So as I mentioned with the checks just previously, some of these are coming through with these job and remote work scams. And this has become increasingly prevalent, and it lures people with promises of high pay for minimal effort. It's crucial to recognize the red flags associated with these scams. Job listings that seem too good to be true, or a job listing that they're requesting sensitive personal information. Job and remote work scams often target people that are looking for employment, and they lure them into roles that seem legitimate. Unfortunately, these roles often involve transferring money for criminals, making victims unwitting money mules. So this can expose the victims to legal repercussions and financial harm. And it's really important to pay attention to the signs of these scams to ensure your personal safety and security while you're job hunting. So to protect yourself, never send money or share personal details with unverified employers. Conduct thorough research on the company and the job offer before proceeding. This proactive approach can help you avoid falling victim to these deceptive practices and ensure a safer job search experience. Again, some red flags to watch for are unrealistic, too good to be true, pressure to act fast, no interview, money movement. If a job involves you using your account or opening a specific account to move money, that's likely a scam. And if they ask you to send money back via gift cards, crypto, or they ask for your banking information, just remember no real job would ask you to do that. Next slide, please. So on this slide, we're going to talk a little bit about deepfake impersonation, voice and video. As AI continues to evolve and starts taking more and more things on in our lives, I think that this is probably a critical thing for us to pay attention to. So I'm sure you've probably seen those videos of driving babies or celebrities doing something truly outrageous, and you want to believe your ears and you want to believe your eyes, and we all do. But with the prevalence of AI technology that's been improving and evolving at a rapid speed, it's a good idea to remember that if it gives you pause, even for a moment, stop and ask some questions. Deepfake technology has advanced to the point where scammers can convincingly mimic the voices and faces of loved ones or leaders. This tactic is often employed in, family emergency scams where the victim is manipulated into sending money or sensitive information under false pretenses. In corporate settings, similar techniques can lead to significant financial losses. So to protect yourself, it's crucial to establish safe words with family members that can be used to verify emergencies. I'd also say always take a moment to pause and verify any unusual requests for money or sensitive action, because this can help prevent you from falling victim to these sophisticated scams. Deepfake videos and voices can be convincing, but there are clues that can help tell you what's real and what's not. Some basic tips are watch their eyes. If the person on the camera doesn't blink naturally or blinks very little, it may be fake. Eyes may also look glassy or dead or not track with head movements. Look for weird mouth movements. If speech doesn't sync up with, their lip movement, or the mouth looks blurry or stiff, you should be suspicious. Sometimes the teeth don't look right. They look maybe too white, too smooth, or there's a strange shape. Pay attention to the voice, robotic tone, a strange rhythm, or mismatched emotion. That could all indicate that the voice is AI generated. So kind of ask yourself, does this sound like how this person normally speaks? Pay attention to lighting and shadows. I think AI often messes that up. Look for glitches or flickering, and think to yourself, would they really say this? Always cross-check the source too. If you're seeing something that looks like it's from an official source, look for it on a trusted news site or official social media, um, and ask someone you trust. Just make sure that you don't assume that a video is real just because it's online and just because it's a video. Next slide, please. So practical tips for fraud prevention. Most of these tips are going to focus kind of heavily on electronic protection, because that's where we're seeing a lot of the vulnerability right now. To effectively prevent fraud, it's crucial that we implement strong security measures. So start by creating strong, unique passwords that combine letters, numbers, and symbols, and steer clear of easily guessable words. Try not to repeat passwords across multiple sites, which is hard. If you have a lot of passwords, it's really difficult to, I have to have a unique one for each site. Um, if you also want to make sure that you're being really safe, you're going to want to use, one of those password vault systems or authentication systems. So they will also have multi-factor authentication that you should, if you're using an online password vault, use the multi-factor authentication so that you can make sure to double down on that protection. It does add that extra layer. Um, be vigilant about suspicious messages. Always verify the sender before clicking on any links or providing sensitive information. And when it comes to financial transactions, double check the recipient's identity and use trusted methods to confirm requests. These practical tips not only enhance your security, but also empower you to recognize and respond to potential threats proactively. So as a follow-up to today's webinar, we are providing some supplemental information on fraud and scam protection for all attendees. These information sheets will also be available on our website. Look on our fraud blog landing page, and they'll be right there. And that'll give you something. So I know that sometimes this is a lot of information coming at you, and it can be hard to remember it all. So we wanted to make sure that we had that information also there for you to kind of take away with you and refer back to. So with that, we've talked a little bit or a lot about things that you can do to protect yourself, things that you can be aware of to protect your finances. And now you're probably wondering, what is Nuvision doing to help protect you? So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Michael Hayden. He's our VP of Digital, and he's going to share some really important news about Nuvision's ongoing efforts to help our members stay protected from fraud. Michael?
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate the introduction, and thank you for all the information that we can be vigilant of. Not just for our members, but I mean, even myself on a day-to-day, it's really important that we're constantly on the lookout. But on top of that is we as an institution take protecting you, your information, your money very seriously. So we take a very proactive approach to our member security. And right now we are looking to enhance that member security. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. But the first thing I want to talk about is a recent feedback or quote that we received from a member, and I'm just going to read it really quickly. I recently experienced unauthorized charges on my debit card, but my credit union's rapid response turned a stressful situation into a reassuring one. Their swift action not only safeguarded my finances, but also reinforced my trust in their services. I highly commend and appreciate Nuvision's commitment to fraud prevention and customer care. So as I said, within the digital space specifically, it's a constant battle with the fraudsters or the bad actors, and trying to, how can we give you guys the tools to remain secure? So we do take a very proactive approach. And as part of that proactive approach, we are looking to make some enhancements within the digital space. So next slide, please. So within the digital space, we are looking to upgrade our digital authentication. So authentication, what that means is when you are already a member of the credit union, you've enrolled in digital banking, and you use your login ID and right now your secure access code to access digital banking. That is the authentication step where you're entering your password, you're entering that secure code right now. That is the authentication piece. And what we're doing is we're working on developing a trusted device ecosystem where you as the member are authorizing devices to say this device is okay to send me notifications, to approve transactions, to say, yes, this is me logging in. No, this isn't me. Are you logging in from this browser right now in this moment? No, this is not me. Great, go ahead and block that. So you get the opportunity to register your mobile phone. It can work on your browser. You can register the browser that you use. You can register the device as if it's a laptop or a desktop. And if it supports, biometrics, you can use biometric authentication. So really building a trusted device and getting away from things that are sent through email channels and text messaging channels so that there's less vulnerability. So as I stated, these notifications and the authorizations are going to be sent to, let's say, I'll use a mobile phone for an example. Within this trusted device ecosystem, I register my mobile phone and I say, this device is my trusted device. So let's say somebody tries to log in, whether it's me or a bad actor is attempting to log in another state or another country. I'm going to get a notification that says, are you currently attempting to log in on this type of device, on Apple or an Android phone? And here's the time or the type of browser. And I'm going to have the ability to say yes, or I'm going to say, no, this is not me. Now, a lot of times what fraudsters will do within those types of situations is they'll continue to try and log in over and over and over to try and get you to say, like, I give up, I'm going to approve this. Well, within that notification, you will also get the option to say, no, this is not me, and to mark it as fraud, and we're going to block all future attempts. So it's a very interactive type of a notification. Instead of just telling you something's happening, we're going to say, hey, something's happening. Is it you? And that's where this trusted device ecosystem is really great, with proactively being to fight off a lot of those situations, which we'll cover in a moment, that Amy was touching on in her conversation earlier. And then the biggest thing too is when you trust the device, it's seamless for you. We're not trying to make it difficult for you to go in, for you to log in, for you to do transactions. It's going to be a seamless end-to-end. You've trusted a device, you can go ahead and log in, you can do your transactions, you can do what you need to do. And you're not going to see any interruptions in your day-to-day digital banking. So next slide, please. So what are the major benefits of this upgraded digital authentication? Well, Amy touched on a lot of things, and here are a few more. Some were in there, some are more familiar, we've talked about before. Email compromise is very prevalent, whether it's from, as Amy said, clicking on a link within an email that you don't recognize. There's SIM swapping, jailbroken devices. When you jailbreak a device, it's when you remove the security features on a device. So like if a fraudster were to steal your phone and then remove the security, that would be a jailbroken device. This trusted device ecosystem is looking for those types of things, and it's going to say, nope, this is a SIM swap, this is a jailbroken device, this phone has been cloned. I need to send an authentication to the right device, or I'm not going to allow this person to get in, or this individual to get in on this device. So it's really going to reduce the susceptibility there. We want it to be, to work along with you while you're accessing digital, which goes into those real-time notifications. So it's not just going to be login attempts. That's the first line of defense. Let's say for some reason they were able to get in, we'll go along with one of the scams where, Amy said that they'll ask for remote access to your computer. Let's say they get in, they're on that trusted device. And then they start doing things that are outside of your normal activity, processing transactions that are above thresholds or above limits that you would usually do. Let's say you do $100 transfer, once a week. All of a sudden, it's a $10,000 transaction. That's going to send a notification to you, and it's going to say, hey, are you trying to move money out of this account right now for $10,000? And again, you'll be able to say, no, this isn't me, and it's immediately going to stop it from occurring. So not only is it a fraud prevention solution within that authentication aspect of digital banking, but it's giving you the ability to know what's going on in real time. If you ever get one of these and it is not you, and you know for a fact that there's nobody else who could possibly be logging in or trying to do something within your digital space, while I don't recommend sharing credentials, and I advise strongly against it, there are people who husbands and wives share credentials. So check with those individuals, but contact us immediately, because we can take immediate action to get things like usernames, passwords changed. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to support you for those if you see anything. And then the last thing, and when I touched on it earlier, is that blocking controls for fraudulent transactions. So when you get multiple attempts, or when there's a certain type of transaction that comes through, there's the ability to do this toggle option where you can say, not only is this not me, but this is fraud. I know for a fact this is fraud. And it'll allow us to block any forms of communication. And then the best part about this trusted device ecosystem is when you report something as fraud and we see it show up on somebody else's device, like an attempt from that IP address, or from that device again, you've prevented it by notifying that it's fraud, but you also are allowing us to prevent those types of communications or those attempts to occur on anybody else's digital banking. So it's very, very important. So this is really the benefit of this new enhancement that we're doing. So, first and foremost is the big question, hey, when is this coming? What is the impact to us? So we intend to have this fully available to you as the member no later than September of this year. It does have some required actions on your part. There will be an update to the mobile banking app to be able to support the new security. So that will be something that needs to be downloaded. And then the first time you log in, you are going to want to register your trusted device. So you're going to get that opportunity and be prompted with that enrollment. So you'll log in just like you do today, and you'll get that prompt when the solution is live, and you will get to register your trusted device. As for how we're going to make this available to you, we are going to do it in kind of a phased approach. So we will make it available to you in different groups. So it's going to slowly be rolled out or made available within the month of August into September. As I said, the intent is to have it fully live for our entire Nuvision members by September of this year. So with that, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about what we have coming. I'm very excited about this. I think this is really going to help from a self-service standpoint. It's going to allow us to put more products within digital banking that can inherently be risky, but now this gives us more control over that, and it'll give you guys more self-service opportunity to say, not only is this happening, but I can do something about it. So with that, thank you again for your time today. And I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Roger for our Q&A session. Roger?
Great. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Amy. Great information. See a lot of questions coming in that we'll get to shortly. But fantastic job, Amy and Michael. Loved your examples and your tips that you provided. So lots of great information to help members be aware and protect themselves from fraud, and how also information what Michael shared about what Nuvision is doing to help protect you as well. So this is, I alluded to earlier, our Q&A segment. And as I alluded to a moment ago, I already see some questions in queue, but if you'd like to still add a question, you so can. We'll do our best to answer as many as you can. Just click on that Q&A icon and type in your question. Again, just don't include any, personal information like account numbers and such, because we don't want to keep your information safe, which is the, whole theme here. In case, not only do you have myself and Michael and Amy, the real experts, but on the next slide, you'll see that we've got a number of other Nuvision leaders, so that we never know what questions we'll get in these webinars. We want to be ready. So I'm really pleased to have a number of other leaders available who can help answer questions depending on what those might be. So I think we'll go ahead and start. Amy, I'll look for, sometimes we get duplicate questions, so I'll try to look for maybe some themes as I peruse the questions in here. But why don't we start with one, it's a longer one, but let me see if I can summarize it. What kind of person do we find that a person is committing fraud to get you to deposit money in a fraudulent bank account? This particular member had reported a person to the FBI, but they're not sure if it was effective. And so, so the bank site looks real online, but when I called the bank, details were revealed to me that the account didn't exist. So it definitely sounds like a fraud attempt. So again, I think what can the person, if a person's trying to find that person who's committing the fraud, what should they do in this type of situation, Amy or Michael? But I'm thinking this might be right up Amy's alley.
Sure. I can always make the attempt. So I am gonna have to make a few assumptions. And it sounds like you did the absolute right thing by doing some due diligence and looking into that account to which the funds were going. What's not immediately clear is what the intention was of the funds transfer. So that would kind of inform whether or not this was, for instance, something where you went through Facebook Marketplace, for example, to make a purchase, and then you found that other institution, the account was a fraudulent account, that sort of thing. So the source can matter and change a little bit of how I would answer this, but going with an example that, for instance, you were induced to make a purchase, or there was a legitimate reason for you to be transferring the funds, and you then found out that the recipient information appears to be fraudulent. The first thing I would do would be to report that to, in this example, to Facebook, to their security team, let them know that there's a bad actor that is on their platform. Reporting to the FBI and the FTC is always another really good choice, and it sounds like you did the right thing. Certainly with the sheer volume, the FBI is not going to get one report necessarily and follow up immediately. If you suffered a loss, I think it's also critically important to file with your local police department, so local law enforcement, and file with your credit union. So you would be letting us know if it did affect your account here so that we can protect you. I think the other thing that I would always tell everyone to do is to stop and think, what other information could I have released? What else might I have shared while initiating this particular transaction? Did I give any of my personally identifiable information? That means things like your social, your mother's maiden name, information that one should not easily find out about you on the internet. If that sort of information has been released, I would definitely also go to identitytheft.gov. That's another FTC site, and file with them as well. So I hope that answered the question, but please feel free to follow up with clarification if I can do a better job for you on that.
Great. Thank you, Amy. And we've got a lot of questions in the queue now. We'll see how we can do it at getting to them. Another question, a member says, I'm just retired and in my 60s. What is the most common form of fraud that I need to watch out for? Is there anything particular that might kind of target retirees?
I don't know that I would say that there is one particular scam that is affecting retirees more than others. The data does show that retirees are oftentimes targeted at a higher rate, but there's kind of a spread. So what we generally would always recommend is that you pay attention that there are some common threads that go through every scam. Those are things like being hurried, being rushed, the sense of urgency, for instance, that kind of pressure situation. But I do think that things like maybe romance scams can be particularly difficult as you go into retirement and you're not socializing as much. So a romance scam doesn't have to be strictly romance. It could be just friendship or companionship. But really look for the common threads that we talked about, because that's where you're going to catch the fraud.
And Amy, this reminds me of some feedback that I've gotten from our team at times. We've seen, and actually our team has caught and prevented, or at least mitigated, as in stopped a bigger loss on these romance schemes. And often it's coming up just from a conversation that one of our team members is having with our member. And sometimes our members are a little, I don't know, let's say put off by some of the questions that we're asking because, hey, it's none of your business, it's my money, I'll do what I want, which we get. But in the context of these kind of fraud trends that Amy and Michael and that we've been sharing, we train our staff, our team on these as well. And so they're always kind of on the lookout to protect our members. And I've been made aware, I can think of two pretty fresh, I won't go into the details, but it came about a further protection of our members because they were going to send, even like the one example I'm thinking of, they'd already sent some dollars and they were going to send even more. And because our team asked some questions and sort of, were able to say overcome some initial hesitation from our member, They basically kind of figured out what was happening and educated the members and really, caused them to stop what they were doing because that time pressure, as Amy was just talking about, was there, and we protected our members. So sometimes our team is asking questions that might feel a little intrusive or, type thing, but in so many cases that we see, we're actually trying to protect our members. And I know firsthand that we have done so. So, Amy, I just wanted to throw that out since you mentioned, some of the romance scams and kind of the emotional, kind of dynamic that some of these fraudsters are taking advantage of. And that kind of reminded me of some situations that I'm personally been made aware of. I don't know if you have anything to add, before I go to the next question.
No, but thank you though for bringing that up, because that is something that can also feel uncomfortable, when we're asking those questions. And it is great to sort of reinforce for everyone, we're not trying to be nosy. We want to protect you. And, we're going to go through some questions sometimes, but that's proven successful. So, yeah.
Members ask, does Nuvision ever text or call members about investment opportunities? If I receive a call or text and I suspect it's an investment scam, should I report it to Nuvision, and how might I go about doing that?
So if you receive any call or text from Nuvision and you think that it might be a scam, we will always welcome you calling us and letting us know. Even if it turned out that it really was us, we're still going to greatly appreciate that you took that initiative, that you stopped and paused. And that's something to keep in mind, that if you are talking to someone and it feels off, if they've got a problem with you wanting to verify, that's probably another, good indication that that's not a good call. So always give us a call, always check with us, and we'd be happy to confirm that for you.
Thanks, Amy. And this one I'm thinking might be for Michael, but I'll defer to either one of you. Let me give you the question. What about the use of new passkeys? Are they as secure as they're touted? And some people, Michael or whoever is going to answer, just for some of our members, they may not even know what a passkey is. So in case you might be able to share at least a little bit for those who might not be familiar with passkeys.
Absolutely. So it's a great question. There's always a lot of new questions about new security and how secure is it with these solutions. So passkeys are public key cryptography, and they're stored on the user's device. So, and there's another question I think that's in the list about cookies. So I'll answer that question at the same time. So passkeys is what we will be using with this enhanced authentication. So no cookies on the browsers, no cookies on devices. There will be biometric authentications on your trusted devices. The passkeys are very, they're phishing resistant, essentially. So in some cases, they replace the password itself. In our case, what they're going to do is they're going to replace that step-up authentication. So you will still enter your username and password, but the step-up authentication will then leverage the passkeys to verify that it's an authentic.
So it's Michael, it's like an extra step. Like we're asking our members to do something more. When you say step-up authentication, like an extra step, just to make sure, with the intent to make sure it's legitimate. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. So you will see passkeys, especially within the browser space, because the majority of our members, let's be honest, are going to register on the mobile app, and they're going to get push notifications because we have a very heavy mobile app using population. You'll get your push notifications. You'll be able to approve logins from there. However, there are individuals who are desktop only or browser only, and they will have the ability to leverage those passkeys. And then they will communicate with their trusted devices. But yes, to answer your question, it is a very solid replacement to text message or emailing secure codes. I'm excited, like I said, to get this in place because I think it'll really help prevent a lot of the fraud. And then I will add on, and I think, Roger, I'm going to steal one other question that's sitting in there because it was related to this, is you can register multiple trusted devices. You will have to designate a primary device where you're going to get those notifications if someone's that's not you is logging in. But you can register multiple devices, multiple browsers where you will have where you can easily just log in, no additional prompting. It's registered, it's authorized, it's trusted, and you can move seamlessly through digital banking. So yes, you can authorize
Great.
multiple devices.
Great. Yeah. And as I scan, I see actually at least a couple questions on that same topic, though. Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely.
Crystal, this might be one. Thank you, Michael. I might have you back here. We'll see. I haven't got through all the questions yet. Crystal, I'm sorry, Amy, I think there's a question. I remember, why would a blue mailbox be unsafe for mailing anything? I think that might have been from your earlier comments.
Sure.
Because so I'll leave it at that. Can you speak to that, please?
Yeah, so what has been reported through law enforcement, and you've probably seen it in the news over the past couple of years, is there's been an increase in mail theft. And so one of the things that we'd been cautioned through those alerts and from law enforcement was that you should not leave your mail in a place that's not fully secured. Now, I always thought that blue box was really secure, but I think as we've all seen over the years, fraudsters are very resourceful and they are committed. So they have found a way, since those boxes are often in locations where there's not eyes on them, there's not a camera, there's not a store where they might have cameras on the store right near. It has been recommended that you not use the blue boxes, which are frankly disappearing pretty rapidly as well. But yeah, that was something we all heard from sort of law enforcement
Yeah. So
recommendation.
that's just, yeah, based on what we know, it's just obviously members can mail however they want. We're just giving you advice relative to, we think it's safer not to use, those kind of mailboxes. And historically, I think, before, at least I think back probably, a few years ago, I think we used to say, hey, that's good, before some of these new tactics from these fraudsters have been taking place, as Amy just described. And that's one of the things that, I think Amy and Michael both spoke to, is the tactics evolve over time. And so perseverance by your credit union, by us, and by yourselves to stay aware and just really be mindful is important. Another question we had, which I'm thinking might be Michael, but I'm not sure if it's Amy or Michael, but I'm thinking it's for one of them. A member asks, some financial institutions use voice ID. Is it safe? I thought AI, and I think Amy, you may have commented on this, relative to AI, both voice and video. So I thought, the member says, I thought AI can copy your voice. So I think the core of this question is, voice ID, is it safe?
Well, I'll take a run at it, and maybe Michael will need to come in and finesse the answer a little with his better understanding of it from a technological perspective. AI is not yet perfect at replicating your voice, and when there is software that's implemented, they have other layers of security. So there are things that they're doing to identify, for instance, the ID of the device that's contacting them. And it is actually matching up far more nuanced information than just sort of what we think of as our voice. I don't know, Michael, are you better able to kind of give more technical information on that?
I'm going to be honest, within the digital space, we don't heavily use voice outside of like a call out to provide a code. I would defer probably to our IT team to answer that question because they have a lot more familiarity with AI. So I think that one's a good takeaway, and we can provide some additional information after today, if that works, Roger.
Yep. Sounds good, Michael. Thank you. And thank you, Amy, as well. Let me see. I'm watching time and we got a lot of questions. Let me see if I can look, at least touch upon some different topics. Let's see here. So here's one that I'm not sure we might have touched on it, but I'm not sure we fully got it. When fraud has taken place and the money has been taken out of our account and deposited into another bank, what is the bank's procedures to help find the fraudsters? Amy, would that be something you could comment on?
Absolutely. So there's a lot that's going to be dependent on how the fraud occurred. It's going to depend on how the money was transferred. So each different, what we would call like a payment channel, whether that's by check, that was by debit card, was it done by Zelle, credit card, all of those things will have different rules and different processes. So that whether or not we're able to recoup the funds is going to depend a lot on rules and regulations and frankly what we are able to do. What we can commit to is that we take it seriously every time. We will take your claim every time, and our teams will do everything. I mean, within their power, they will do everything they can. I can only speak for the ones on my team, but I think it's true of all of them. They're quite aggressive about trying to catch somebody that tricked one of our members. So while I can't give you the exact because there's so many different variables, I can give you the commitment that we will do our best every single time to recoup the money and to get reports filed so that law enforcement knows. And we'll ask you to partner with us. We will ask you to file a police report and do a couple of things as well. But that partnership between us and you, we'll get things moving for you and try to find a resolve.
Thanks, Amy. And I think I'll have another question in a moment. The one thing that you just mentioned, relative to, partnership where we can collaborate together is just another tip I'd say is just monitor your account and really just notice, some people, they monitor it. I mean, they're down to the penny. They always know. Others, not so much. And I would say it's so much easier to mitigate loss or potentially identify fraudsters if we catch it early. So really monitoring your accounts. We have various options on setting up alerts for like certain dollar amount transactions, above amount, the various options there. So there's a lot of different ways to be alerted, but I think generally monitoring your accounts so that there's any unusual activity that just doesn't look right, you could report it. Now, speaking of reporting, Amy, I see one question a member has if they suspect that some kind of fraudulent activity and is after business hours at Nuvision, what should they do to get help?
So if it is after hours and you're concerned about, for instance, again, I hate to lean into this too heavily, but if, for instance, it's your card, I would go into our online banking and do one of the actions you can do to lock the card down right away. Another thing that you have available
So
to you.
and I think you can literally, for example, like turn it off so it
Yes.
doesn't work. Is that what
Yes.
that means? Okay.
Yes. And then, in order to just sort of get it reported, I would recommend that you talk to us during business hours because one of our team members is going to be able to ask you those really important, critical questions that we need all of the details for in order to try to get your money back for you and to get your accounts fully protected. If, for example, your online banking someone got in there, we want to be able to go in and look at our logs and see what happened. We want to get you new accounts because somebody went in there and saw your old accounts. So there's a lot of nuanced information that we would want to get from you. And that means really talking to one of our wonderful and talented team members that can walk you through the process and get everything taken care of for you.
And I'm trying to remember, Amy, and sorry to put you in the spot because I know I didn't prep you for this question, but if a member notices, activities and they notice it isn't a 60-day, time frame, it's some kind of like fraudulent activity on an account, like say their checking account, say a debit card, they're protected in those situations. Is that correct?
Yeah. So again, it would do if we go directly with debit card. Yes.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking, a debit card.
Yeah.
Some of the questions
With the debit card for sure.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those things, again, we just ask that you, like you'd mentioned prior, set up those alerts, monitor your account. The sooner you let us know, the better chance we have of getting that money back for you.
Yeah, very good. And I think, the other thing we've touched on it some, I think Michael talked about it. Just don't, I really recommend even obviously, couples or partners can do what they choose. It's your business. But from a protection standpoint, don't share your credentials is our advice. Keep them individuals. We can set up separate credentials for partners, spouses, whoever's on the account. And that is really best. And do not share them with family members at all. Even again, that is just, I know some members do it, but we do not recommend it. In fact, we recommend against it. So I think that's one of the things we just, really some of these things you want to emphasize. I know it maybe isn't as convenient for some. It's easier to kind of keep it all the same and simple, but that simplicity and ease also can open up to more risk. So again, we're here to try to protect you. And so we just want to, keep that, encourage you to consider that. And Michael, I saw you come on, so I don't know if you have something to add, because I have another question that actually might be for you, but I don't, if you have anything to add on some of the previous comments from Amy and myself.
Yes, really quickly on the debit card and what I can do. I just wanted to elaborate on so within digital banking, we have a feature called card controls, where you can actually activate and deactivate your debit and credit cards. So in the instance that we're offline and you have something like that, at a bare minimum, go in and turn them off so that nothing additional can occur. And then there's also within that feature the ability to, to notify us as if a card is lost or stolen. So it starts that at fraud investigation. We come in, if it's after hours or after business hours, and we immediately have that information, we can start working it. So I just wanted to add that on there. And then one additional thing to complement what you were saying about not sharing credentials is don't repeat passwords, especially when it comes to banking. Don't use the same password to log into your Nuvision that you use to log into your library, because not everywhere has the same amount of security. And I'll use Target as an example, and it happened a while back, but there was a huge Target breach. And what we saw was after that, there was a lot of what they call credential stuffing, where people were taking the username and passwords from that breach and trying to log into different financial institutions to see if you reuse that information. So especially with your banking or anything that secures your money, use a unique username, use a unique password, do not repeat them. So if one gets compromised, they don't all get compromised.
Well said, Michael. And I know Amy too brought up about like some sort of password keeper. I know myself, I've used for a number of years an app. I'm not endorsing it. I'm just telling you what I use personally, separate from the credit. As an individual, as a member, I use Keeper, and I turn on multi-factor authentication, and I use it. I have it randomly generate passwords for me, and it's because I want to make it a lot more complex and difficult for someone to guess it. And I turn on the multi-factor authentication and have what that looks like every time I log in. Not only do I have to have my username and password, but then I also, in this case, have to use, it's a SMS, I get a text message where I have to confirm it's me. So, and I that has allowed me to be able to access those more complex passwords, because I know a lot of people like to use their same password in multiple logins because it's easier to remember, which I understand. And hopefully we've educated, if you didn't already know, on how that can open you up to more risks, such as Michael, just pointed out. Michael, there was a member who said, and just quickly, and I'm watching time, but I wanted to get to a couple more questions. When I log into, this is the member asking or kind of giving their experience. When I log into my account via the mobile app, it sends a code, and I think that's a SMS code, and then asks if we want to register this device. I was going to call Nuvision because I didn't know if this was something you had recently implemented. Can you speak to that? Is that legit?
Yes, so that's a good question. And the reason that it doesn't feel like something new is because on mobile, when you register, the first time you log into the mobile app, you are asked to register that device. And then it retains that registration because you're not logging in on different browsers like on your computer in different locations. You're on that phone all the time. So you don't get that prompt very frequently. You will usually only see it if you upgrade a newer version or you remove the app and add it back in again. So it is legitimate. It will ask you to register it. And if it's a new type of experience, like I said, updated app or like you removed and reinstalled so that stored registration is no longer there. So yes, that is legitimate. It will ask it on the app, but usually only the first time.
Great. So I'm looking, there's a few things, and I've seen a few questions that are getting so individualized. I really think we unfortunately can't give them justice in terms of being able to help. So those will be follow-ups. I do see some names in here, and I'm hoping we're able to, and maybe the way people registered, we'll be able to track back to you and talk to you individually about. So if you receive any communication from us because of this question, you can expect to receive something if we didn't get to your question, and it's something we want to help you with. I do want to let's see. Understand. I'm trying to look. One thing we haven't touched upon, and I know I'm not getting to every question, but we had kind of targeted 6:30, and I know we're 10 minutes over because we've had great questions. Love the engagement from the members. One person did mention something. I heard this has come up commonly, Amy and Michael. Swiping cards at gas stations seems particularly prone to fraud. Why is that? Maybe I'm adding a little bit more to this. Also, when you're at these point of sales, a lot of self checkout stands and other, what I call point of sale devices, and you're typing in your PIN. I'm enriching this question to a couple more facets about maybe tips about how to protect. So the core question from the member was, is it true that, these gas stations tend to be more prone to fraud? I'm guessing there might be some skimmers involved. And then I'm adding, what about like protecting your PIN when you're entering it, when it's a debit transaction, it's requesting your PIN? What should members do to maybe protect themselves there? And I think we may have to wrap up on that last question. So Amy, Michael, I think it's probably more Amy, but I'm hoping you can address that.
Sure. Yes. I'm happy to address it. That's a lesson my poor daughter has heard several times as I run her through my inspection criteria. So the reason that you see it happen at gas stations with a higher frequency is because those terminals are not visible to the employee. And they're over on the other side. They're working with other things. They're not seeing how, and some of those fraudsters can add a skimming device on very quickly. Those can come on and off very quickly. So what I always recommend is whether it be at a gas station or if you're using just a regular ATM terminal, do that visual inspection. Look for loose parts. Look for something that looks like it may have been put on top, so like a loose facing. Look for tiny pinhole cameras that are around. At the gas station, I always try to use the pump closest to the door. Statistically, that is much less likely to have a skimming device installed on it. It's also something I often employ tap. I use my tap card for because it's not there's not a skimming device necessarily for your tap card. And when you do those actions, when you pay attention to your surroundings, you pay attention to whether or not the housing, the area around the ATM where you're inserting your card, you're looking for cameras, you will be able to ensure that you're not coming up with a skimmed card quite as easily. But to answer the essential question about the gas station, it really has to do with the fact that the terminals are not within view of an employee.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add, Amy, and feel free to add, you've got more expertise here, and also wherever you're asked to enter your PIN, it might be even inside the retailer, it could be at a pump, various places. I just, do my best to sort of put my other hand over the keypad as I'm typing. You just never know who can be watching or who could have
Yes.
some Zoom camera who could be zooming in on there. And just be mindful of your PIN. Really protect it, and do what you can to obscure the view of any potential fraudsters who might be trying to pick up your PIN number without you even knowing.
Yes, absolutely. And not only just even with the covering of the pin, which is, thank you for the reminder. I didn't mean to say that, and I skipped right over it in my excitement. But also, one of the things that I always do is and make sure there's not somebody who's shoulder surfing behind you. Pay attention to the other people around. There's really not a good reason for someone to be close enough to you to be trying, in view of your pin at any rate. So again, that's part of just watching your surroundings.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Amy and Michael. As we move to wrap up, I know appreciate those members who stuck with us for a little extended time, And I know we didn't get to all the questions, although I think we got to the majority. A few we'll have to follow up on. But I really want to thank our members for attending. We do record these webinars, so we know, every time we do one of these that it's not going to be, the perfect time, date, or time of day for all of our members. So we record these and our team will make it available. Usually it's within the next couple of days after the webinar. So if you want to come back and watch the webinar or refer it to a family member, that'll be something that we know in terms of participation. We have thousands and thousands of views of these webinars, post the live event itself. So we also know that sometimes you might, we'll follow up where we can identify the member who asked on questions we didn't get to. But also you might think of something after the fact, oh, I wish I would have asked that question. If you have one of those, you can email in those questions to Nuvision Insights at nuvisioncu.org. Again, Nuvision Insights at nuvisioncu.org. And we'll do our best to get back to you promptly. Again, check out our YouTube channel, which I think we'll be sending a link to that. Amy also alluded to some additional materials that we're going to be sending out, at least a link to it, that on our blog, on our website, so that to reinforce some of the content that she shared. And then, we'll be also looking for your feedback in terms of, feedback about how was this webinar and any other topics that you would find valuable for us to cover in future Nuvision Insight webinars. So again, our intent was to educate, raise awareness, and give you some tips to protect yourself. I hope we were successful. Always welcome to your feedback. Really appreciate your participation. And thank you for being part of the Nuvision Credit Union family. We appreciate your business. We appreciate your membership. And it is truly, on behalf of all of us at Nuvision Credit Union, it's an honor to serve you. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Bye.